Good morning, everyone. Myself, Ashu Sharma, Assistant Professor, Department of Computer Science and Engineering, Arya Institute of Engineering, Technology and Management. Today, we will see some of the threats of cloud security and how to resolve them and what sort of pros and cons is over there while applying such different techniques to overcome such problems. So today, this is the topic that cloud security threats. Let's we start with. Now, this is that we have that security threats. This is the category that, in general, that malicious activity, social in engineering, you can say spoofing, phishing, spam, that botnets, and malicious activities like countermeasures, and we sometimes we have that user awareness trainings. And the system hardening, patching, sandboxing, and policies and procedures to overcome such that different threats. So definitely, when we compare this table, that malicious activities, we should have some countermeasures. And in social engineering, if some threats happen, we have user awareness training program, which is the part of that higher management that to deploy certain awareness training for their employees. Spoofing is a system hardening type of thing in which we have to deal with hardware resources as well. Phishing is a patching concept. That's utilities and applications work with that, and the spam is also that botnet uh, nowadays very much there, and policies and procedures deploy to overcome these techniques. So this is first we have this what is malware advertising. That malicious advertising is a type of online attack wherein malicious code hidden within an online ad affects your computer with malware. So a kind of that disruptive code, which is the malicious code, which is hidden within an online ad that infects your computer with malware. So how it works, you visit a website. It does not matter if the site is sketch or legitimate. The scratchy, you can say the threat that lies within the it's on that site. So advertisement can come in a variety of shapes and sizes who usually appear as a banners or pop-ups. So malware uh, malwareizing utilities that it utilizes that numerous tactics and such as using iframes and invisible box that can that secretly navigate to additional web pages. So how this malware advertising it works, that it comes along with that the website in form of some ads. It might be in any shape and size, and it might be any box or any link or any pop-ups. So it is very, very crucial that we have to overcome such problems. And malicious biting is also there, and it is hard to catch once we visit a website. Either it is a scratchy bit or it is legitimate, but that's the source that malware, that advertising can come through in your systems. So next is the phishing. Phishing is generally, we can say it's a targeted attack or a specific employees or a company that it targets and spray and broad and automated, not very sophisticated, that requires advanced techniques to that hacking level, you can say, usually obvious, and username, passwords, and credit card details. So phishing generally happen at that end user's end, and definitely whatever the sensitive information there. So try to fetch those information and to make certain changes and modification once applying this type of threat to the system or the user computer. So definitely that targeted attack and harder to detect such kind of phishing. So it might come through email or somewhere that usernames, password, credentials, your debit card, and credit card details. So you can say that net banking nowadays is very popular. So all these are can be troubled by this phishing type of threat that generally in that online stuff it is going to be that harm. Phishing is the starting point for most network and data breaches. So it is the starting point for most of these that hacker try to access that system and the utilities and the resources along with the information which is stored on the server. So definitely it is the starting point, and phishing is also a very, very very dangerous threat for the systems and the information. The next is that the threat profiles like Trojans and Android malwares, ATM malwares, botnets, and cryptocurrency mining malwares, exploit kits, and industrial control system malwares, iOS malwares, Mac operating system malwares, and point of sale that malwares, the ransomware. So these all are different that threats profile might affect the working of a system on online platform. So security threats, these are some important points that abuse and nefarious use that hackers continue to leverage the technologies to improve their reach and avoid the detection and improve the effectiveness of their activities. Cloud providers are actively being targeted partially because their relatively weak and registration systems facilitates anonymity and provide for fraud detections capabilities are limited. Countermeasures are that patching, intrusion detections, and security awareness training background checks. So monitoring and auditing is very important, and the awareness among the employees are very important when we talk about that. Such kind of threats, those affect the information which is stored on the systems and affect the end user as well as those are service providers. So this is important that that patching and intrusion detection. So we can't compromise with the cloud security or security of our important data. Next is the insecure interfaces and APIs. Cloud providers strive to provide security and that it is integrated into their service model. And consumers of services need to understand the security implications and associated with the users management and orchestrations and monitorings of cloud services. So reliance on a weak set of interfaces and APIs exposes organizations to a variety of security issues related to the confidentiality, integrity, availability, and accountability, which is a CIA model. So countermeasures are architectures review, security testing, patching schedules, and service level agreements and legal agreements, which is SLA, which is important in between the end user and the vendor, and interface that also happens with that you can say the broker who is there in between the service provider and user. So APIs is generally behave like that we can access my website through Google Gmail login or through Facebook login. So it definitely a cross-platform behavior, which is definitely a security concern when we talk about the CIA model, that confidentiality, integrity, availability model, and along with the accessibility and accountability. This is very important to take these countermeasures, having the patching schedules and such kind of agreements for the trustworthiness approach. Next is the malicious insiders that impact the malicious insiders that can have on an organization is great because of their level of access and understanding of data and information technology assets. Theft, reputations, damage, and loss of productivity are some examples of how malicious insiders can affect an operation. Organizations that adopt cloud services need to understand the human element and the responsibility for a malicious insiders is relevant for the staff of the cloud provider. So countermeasures are when we saw such kind of malicious insiders that background checks, policies and procedures, non-repudiation and two-man working and security awareness training and the least privilege. Privilege is only given as per the role of the employee in a company as not it is distributed as a local platform, but you can say it is distributed according to the priority of work is dedicated to which priority of work dedicated to whom, and then this is decided that least privilege is given to what to whom and more privileges given to whom. So this is also a big that countermeasure that we can take. Now the shared technologies issue is also there because of so many parties involved there. So that definitely that compromise of security issue might be there. So attacks have surfaced in recent years that target the shared technologies inside the cloud computing environment. As a result, attackers focus on how to impact the operations of other cloud customers and how to gain unauthorized access to the data. So for such kind of threats, there are the countermeasures like patching. security testing, monitoring, security awareness training programs, which is very, very important. Data loss or leakage is also a big concern. That data loss or leakage can have a devastating impact on a business, and its impact is directly relevant to the type of the data. And the compliance violations, legal ramifications, and the loss of the core intellectual property could have competitive and financial implications. So the countermeasures are data loss prevention applications, encryptions and decryption techniques, security awareness training, and data classifications policies, procedures, and least privilege. So this is that important. Next is the account to service hijacking. Account and service hijacking, usually the stolen credentials, remain of top threats with the stolen credentials. Attackers can often access critical cloud services, allowing them to compromise the confidentiality, integrity, and availability of the service and the data. So countermeasures, that policies and the procedures, security awareness training program, enforce password life, complexity and reuse. Such kind of threats generally happen with the enterprise applications where more security required, and the stress testing is much more and the performance testing is much more. So such kind of hijacking is to overcome this problem. These are the countermeasures that we require to protect our data and account. Now, this is the credential stuffing attack kill chain middleware. This is the attackers, and this is the darknet and the botnets chatting systems. And botnets use stolen credentials and login pages open. So it can be that attacker can be modify this information, and through this hijacking the information to user ID and the password and access that banking fraud type of thing. So this may happen, and data breaches publication is this is that 2016 that we can say this is the data that 500 million and its username password was stolen, and this is that data that is in on Yahoo, and this is that the fraud that friend finder networks, and this is there is another data which is related to the banking stuff type of business applications. So this is something we can say then to protect our data, to protect our services and all sorts of things and sensitive information. We have to think like that to save those steps, that negative steps towards the database and consistency, and think like an attacker so that we can find out these are the limitations, these are weak links that we have to find out, and we have to overcome with good protocols and good security model to deploy among the employees of the company for awareness purpose, as well as for that deployment of policies and rules regulations, so that data should protect on different servers, and client should have best of service among that, and there is no compromise with the cloud security. It is very, very important. Thank you so much being with us. This is the little briefing about what sort of threats are there, what are the countermeasures, tips, and techniques we can use. Thank you so much, and explore these concepts also. Uh, Different that internet resources are there, and how to find out these techniques to overcome such as steps and protect our data from such kind of threats. Thank you.